Hey guys, and welcome to Free Plugin Friday. This Friday we are looking at yet another Analog Obsession plugin, and that is Sweet Drums, which is a super simple drum processing plugin. So basically, it has three controls: input, process, and output. The process is mainly what you use to get your tones. The input controls the amount of distortion, and output is output. It is very, very simple. You put it on drums and it does a thing. So we're going to have a look at kind of what the sounds are doing. So I've got drum bus here. We've got it on the drum bus. What we're going to do the drum bus, but then we'll have a look at if it really works on individual elements as well. It's useful in that context. So let's just turn it off first. You can bypass here, or I'm using the Cubase bypass. So we'll just bypass here. So this is the drums by themselves. Let's put the plugin on. So I'm going to go through the different process. Now, basically what it seems it does is it applies a kind of an EQ curve, some harmonic excitement, a little bit of distortion, a little bit of compression. Basically, overall, you really just move the process control to give you different tones. So we're going to go through that. Now, I've got it on this link, which links the output to the process, meaning as you drive it up, the output goes down to compensate. What I found is it's not the best. When you get all the way up here, it's a lot quieter. So you can then unlink it and adjust a little bit if we might do that as well. But let's just have a listen with the process. So this is on 0. At 0, it's still doing something. It seems to have a little bit of a low pass going on, taking out some of the highs. It's something you might need to add back in if it doesn't really work for you. But that's basically what it seems to do. So I'll start off again and we'll dial it in. It's it on. So you can hear the highs are changed in that hi-hat. You can really hear it change. And to drive it up here, it gets a bit punchier, a little bit loud, but you can hear it scooping out those low mids. And now it's really scooping out the mids here. And here it's almost like a high-pass filter, and it's a bit quiet. That link back on. I find for these drums, I like the setting about here. Seems to work well, so let's bypass and listen. It's really changed the mids a lot. And definitely changed the low end. Now this input is basically, like I said, it's kind of the distortion level. This is gain compensated, which is quite useful. I've got oversample on because I'm just using on the drums. It seems pretty fine for oversampling. As I mentioned in my other Analog Obsession video for the console, oversampling can really build up a lot of CPU usage because you're basically doubling the amount of processing power per plugin. But in this context, it seems to work fine, so I'll leave it on. So let's go through the input control and hear the different levels of distortion. And that's when it starts falling apart, really distorted. So I tend to like drums when you're doing distortion like this, whether you're using a Neve preamp, some kind of preamp emulation, some kind of distortion, maybe a compressor, is you drive it up to the bit where it sounds terrible, then back it down. And that's the sweet spot, especially in a mix. So let's back it down. There, I'm going to bring the process back a little bit and we'll go through the two. Off. And then way more punchy drums. Now let's open it up in the mix, put the bass and guitars in. And we'll bypass again and go back through. Okay, bypassed. catchy, but yeah, might need to add some of that high end back in. You can use a kind of Poltec style EQ maybe to do that. So that was on the drum bus. Next, we're just going to look at it on the kick and snare, see if it does something kind of different that, you know, doesn't affect the overall drum kit as much, but affects those elements and might be useful. Okay, so now we just have it on the kick. I'm going to dial it in on the kick and have a listen, and then we'll move to the snares. So this is solo kick. I've taken it off the drum bus as well, by the way. So this is on. Back to off. Straight away adding a lot of low end punch. Turn it up. Get a lot more. A lot more high end. I think fairly around there, and maybe with a little bit more input. Really, really enormous sounding kick now. So let's go to the snares. Oh, well, first what we'll do is I'll show it with all the drums. So let's turn them off. And this is with all the drums. Bypass them back on. So it's on. Bypassed. So the kick seems a little bit wimpy now. Put it back on. So let's do the same with the snares. I've got it here. I already have a little bit of an EQ just boosting the high end in the snares, but that isn't really going to matter. So let's bypass the snares. There's snares by themselves. Put it on. Lose a little bit of that high end. To drive the process up, it might help. Put oversample on. And with the rest of the drums, might just turn the snares up a little bit. Turn it off. Now I like that setting, so I'm just going to drag that setting over to the overheads and the room mics. And now you can hear we've lost a little bit of high end, and that is probably the biggest thing that's a problem with this, is that low pass kind of added might not be what you need on your raw samples. Now on some maybe some harsh stuff it kind of works, but you know, you might need to boost that back up. So I wouldn't use it on the overheads, but again, it's a free plugin, so you can't really complain much. I just want to point out the two problems really is that output and the fact that it does take a little bit of high end and it can, you know, not work so well for you. So we're going to leave it there. That is the Analog Obsession Suite drums. Very, very simple processor, but something that you can get kind of an instant gratification of tone, and you don't have to go load up an EQ, a distortion plugin, a compression plugin to get that sound. You know, if it works for that element, I really like it on the kick to make a really big kick. Just dial in the process, dial in the input, and you instantly have a sound. So go check it out. Link is below for Analog Obsession. There's a hell of a lot of plugins. I'm going to look at a lot of them because I really like what they're trying to do plugin wise. They're trying to get the essence of a lot of really interesting analog gear. Sometimes it's like a hybrid plugin. Sometimes it's a specific modeled piece of gear. There's guitar stuff. There's compressors, distortion, all that, and I really, really like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time, maybe for another Free Plugin Friday. Check you later.